Wendy Bell Radio is live
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
as Wendy gets coffee.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Oh, I love that we have the proud member LGBFJB community. And the camo shirt, I think, is outstanding. This is awesome. We love how you support us, and we're so grateful that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I don't have my phone to test the sound.
See,
Are you hearing me?
Yes. So I'm going to turn you down. How's that?
Keep going.
Okay. That's all I was saying earlier about the ringer, just because
Okay,
it
you're
can come
good.
through. Hi, everybody. I think it feels to me like it's Friday.
She didn't wear a new shirt because she
didn't.
doesn't have a red undershirt.
Yes. Oh, thank
To
you
wear
so very
under.
much. Yeah, I need to get that red waffle shirt. That's how I like to wear my clothes. Couple layers.
I think you should wear it tomorrow.
Well, that means I have to find a shirt now.
No, you'll be out today. Out and
Really,
about.
really, at the championship basketball game of my 12, 13-year-olds. I'll just hop out at halftime and go pick one of those up at Old Navy.
I'll get you a red waffle shirt.
Right? I have to find one. It's my favorite feel because it's warm. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. We were crushing it yesterday on the app, and we're delighted to have you guys here. We have more people watching on the app than we're watching allegedly on Facebook. And we know that you guys have made an active decision to join us, and we're deeply grateful. Those of you who have stumbled upon us, welcome. Welcome. Do know that we are a radio program. We're in 7 or 8 different radio stations right now, with 3 to 15 more to add in the beginning of the new year, which is super exciting. And we appreciate what you do to get in touch with your local radio stations to say, hey, there are not a lot of female conservatives who are as fabulous as Wendy Bell. That's so rude.
I said
The
nothing.
the sigh and the facial expression say it all.
No.
Do you guys have hot plans for the new year, gentlemen? You two in there?
Oh yeah, you know me. I'll be partying till the sun goes down.
Up, down, up.
No,
Yeah,
down.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
It'll be 4:45.
And I'll be like,
Ugh. 2 nights in a row, I was in bed by 8:30. Feels good. Feels good.
you know what I forgot to tell you?
Hmm.
I got the book on tape of the real Anthony Fauci.
Oh my goodness gracious! Our friend Jeff is reading it right now. He says it's outstanding.
I'm going and buying the book.
Are you?
Because there's so many numbers. I think is either the FDA gets 45% of their funding from big pharma.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Right?
And we wanted to investigate and impeach Donald Trump
And he said,
over a phone call where nothing happened.
and in the book they said, what would the EPA be like if they got 45% of their money from coal?
Oh, right. Well, and by the way, the energy sector is quite a big lobbyist out there in Congress. So I think all the money should go away. I think all of it, you know. You want your policies to do well. You want people to vote for your policy. Have good policy.
Right.
How hard is this?
Jason didn't bring me my other hat today.
I had a lot going on.
What's he act like we don't do anything?
The EOTM is in doubt now.
I think it was already in doubt
Wait a second.
yesterday.
So I got the EOTM, which is employee of the month.
Yes.
It was ordained to me.
It was bequeathed.
It was bequeathed, and then somehow I got fired 2 minutes later. And Ryan ended up stealing it. Michael ended up stealing
Yes, well,
it. So
that's right.
how about that?
And Michael didn't earn it.
I don't disagree with you.
That Michael didn't earn it.
I will say though that I do feel that the expansion of the Wendy Bell radio program in 2022 could very well need the employ of at least one of my sons. I think there's work out there to be done.
Do I get to pick the son?
Well, no,
Do I have to work with said son?
maybe.
then I should have a say.
Well, who do you want to choose?
Well, depends what
Depends on who's awake at my house paying attention to this stream right now. Is that
well,
what you're saying?
no, it also depends on what the work is.
Mm-hmm. I think Michael can help push us out to the younger generation.
I don't disagree.
I do believe.
Him on Twitch, Toolsy, Tuulsie, I believe it is. If you're on Twitch.
Can I give you some stats?
Yeah, go.
1761 right now, if I can add right, on our live stream, and we're at 3% CPU usage.
Nice. That's huge for me because once you get over 35%, you start to go, oh boy,
Yeah.
here we go.
So that means we have the bandwidth or the ability to absorb 32% more people.
It means it's kind of more exponential. than
Yeah,
that.
can I just point out that George says I'm Employee of the Year?
George, stop sucking it up, okay? Just because we had beers doesn't mean that you have a say in the program. Well, you kind of do. So
Yeah, wow.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you do. We love
I
you,
can't
George.
say I disagree with them, but
Oh God. My hair looks so shiny and healthy today, doesn't it? Kind of like my fresh face. Okay, well, that landed fall. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, well, we've got some stuff to get you fussy today, friends.
Here's Wendy fishing for.
Haha. There you go.
It's amazing what light can do.
It's true. It's true, but the best kind is the natural light. So we have to manufacture it.
And be quiet.
All right. Welcome, everybody.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fertile plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America, on the eve of the dumpster fire that has been 2021. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program. We are delighted, as always, to be with you today. Those of you listening on the radio, thank you to our radio station affiliates for trusting us, for sharing our voices, our common sense conservatism, which, come on, everybody is so hungry for. And if you're paying attention on the live video stream, thank you for downloading the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. It is free. It is fabulous. And we're going to have a wonderful Thursday. Hello to all of you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. When I say dumpster fire, I thought it was 2020. I really did. I thought that was the one. See, and here we are. We've limped through yet another year of lies and conflated facts and bogus science and the ever-moving goalposts, which now have just been dismantled and sent into orbit. I mean, don't even try anymore. They're shredded. And I started thinking about what we've allowed to go on in this country for so long. I mean, what is it, 100 weeks now? 100 weeks, what had been 15 days, is now limping into full 2 years. And yet, those of us who are paying attention, who are not on cruise control or asleep at the wheel, have been peppering the reality of all of these flags that have been raised over these last several months. And look at what's happened to us. We've been deplatformed. We've been banned. We've been booted. We've been infiltrated. We are the recipients of relentless cyber attacks. But why? Why? And I challenge any of these companies, big tech, big media, big government, what have you, who take umbrage with those of us who have seen all along that this is nothing more than BS. I challenge those individuals to come on this very program and tell me how I have been wrong one single lousy time. Just give me one. Because I guarantee you, because I know, because I research and I resource everything I do here, I know I have not been. And alas, new information coming out. It's not just a drip, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If Omicron has done anything for us, it has cranked up the faucet of reality. And now the CDC, which has lost any semblance of trustworthiness, of integrity, of value, of anything meaningful to any of us who are fortunate enough to be the citizens of this great nation. Now, the faucet is on full throttle. The information is remarkable today to share with you. And it made me think about this. I was in the kitchen yesterday, and I'd chronicled earlier in the week my son Christopher's science project, which is really a total failure. And I love the boy entirely. Love. And I've allowed him to systematically fail at every level in this 8th grade science experiment. Now, in defense of students, 7th grade year was a wash. There were no science projects because they weren't in school. So his only experience doing anything remotely following a scientific method was in the 6th grade. And arguably an 11-year-old isn't really focused on science or science projects. This was his opportunity to come out gangbusters. And he decided he was going to grow some garbanzo beans. Okay, a curious choice of bean to grow, perhaps not the easiest choice, but it was his project. It was approved by his teacher. And I said, what the heck, let's do it. And the whole science project was predicated on this idea that earthworms are really good for plant growth. And so what he did is he dug up some earthworms from our very vegetable garden, of which we have many, and he put 3 cups of soil with earthworms and 3 cups of soil without earthworms, and then planted his beans. And the beans grew. We had an indoor light. They grew. He wasn't paying attention to them, and they died. Well, said project is due in a week. And since he took no notes, well, at least no photographic proof that he could then, print out photos of the growth of this plant and put them on his board that would show to the entire school that he actually cared about his project, he's now in this scramble to try to put the pieces together and create some semblance, some simulation of said science project. Now, he does have some chicken scratch notes of, well, the ones with the earthworms grew marginally more than the other ones, not terribly specific. But I told him, I'm like, my man, you got to get some evidence here. You need some photographs. What are you going to do? So I saw him marching around in the garden, and he was going to snip some ivy. I'm like, well, ivy is very specific. Ivy does not look like a bean. Okay? And I started looking at my neighbor's house where the ivy is coming from. Now, if you have ivy in your garden, you know this stuff is absolutely destructive. Ivy brought over, especially the English ivy in my neighbor's house, came over to this continent from England in the 1700s. Apparently, people then, settlers or what have you, folks who wanted to colonize this new world, wanted to bring over a pretty hardy ground cover. Unbeknownst to them and to us, of course, it would then proceed to choke out everything in its path. So unless I'm on the ivy in between my neighbor's house and mine, this stuff grows like wildfire. If I'm not snipping it back or pulling it out by the root, it's on everything. It chokes my rose bushes. It wraps itself around my hydrangeas. It creeps up the wall of the house. And if you're not on it, it'll get into your gutters and knot up your gutters. It's a mess. As I'm sitting there looking at the ivy that has overtaken my neighbor's house, literally, like everywhere, I started putting the pieces of where we are as a community together, we Americans. And we've let this insidious, choking, winding, stifling disaster over the last 2 years choke us out of our common sense, out of our reasoning, out of our ability to call a spade and be like, wait a minute, none of this stuff is really adding up. Are we really doing the right thing? And hook, line, and sinker, there is a segment of our people who are so down in the Ivy category, we can't trim them back. There is no pulling it out by the root. There is no solution. Do you see where I'm going? We must be much better, more attentive gardeners if we are going to save this beautiful republic, the greatest place on planet Earth. These people have infiltrated our schools as teachers, as school board members. They've infiltrated our city councils and our state and federal government. And they've crept into the consciousness of the families on our very streets. See, when you just look at it, the ivy is lush. It's got this beautiful color and this very alluring shaped leaf. It looks good even in the snow. It is resilient. It bounces back against everything. Rain, sleet, drought. You can't get rid of it. This is where we are. We have been overrun by the tentacles of complete disarray. The people who want to fundamentally turn us into this sniveling, fearful, and therefore very malleable population. But alas, how many people have gotten on their gardening gloves and they've got the shears? Not beyond that, they've got the garden hoe and the shovel, and they want to dig this crap up from the root and get rid of it. This is where we are today. We're looking at a landscape of corruption, of malfeasance, and I dare say evil. And yet more and more people are waking up. The story is falling apart. And I believe the crux, the seed of this ivy is our media. Without a fair, objective media, the people who've gotten away with perhaps the biggest scam ever performed on planet Earth will not be held accountable for what they've done. And they must be. I find it very interesting in the news today, and we're going to dig through this here after a short break. A little oopsies in the media, a major about face by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. You know, the experts you have been browbeaten to listen to trust, to follow, to heed. The ivy is about to crumble. It is about to be uprooted. And I'm proud to say that we here at this program will lead the fight to rid our country of it forever. I have all sorts of testimonials I can read to you from patients who've heard about Dr. Darren Dubiak and Body by AIM 360 from listening to this program. They are the lead sponsor of this program. Without them, I don't do what I do. But it is not those testimonials I want to share with you. I want you to know that the calendar turns this weekend. And with the realization of a new year, of course, comes a variety of new resolutions. When the time is right for you, whether it's January 1st or it's in February or it's in May, and you finally say enough is enough, I need to gain control of my weight. I want to know what's going on inside me because I don't feel right. I know my hormones are wacky. What's going on? When you reach that pivotal moment, when you're done making excuses and you're ready to make a change, I want you to trust my friend, Dr. Darren Dubiak at Body by AIM 360. No matter where you live, he can help you. BodybyAIM360.com is the website. Everything you need to know is there. I love calling people and talking. 412-227-9255. If today is your day, pick up the phone. Get in touch and start your journey now. All right, when we come back, why I'm having this discussion about this insipid labyrinth, this octopus of tentacles stifling us from the truth and suffocating us of our common sense. Well, it's going to be served up courtesy of the New York Times, and I've got it for you next on the Wendy Bell radio program. Don't go anywhere. Man, I have 500 testimonials I could read about them.
Hopefully I'm 501.
Listen to this one. This is from Lynette. For years, I've been getting heavier and nothing I did would control it. How many people say that? You know, you can change your eating habits, but your body's changing right along with you, your hormones and all of that. Nothing I did would control it. I was tired all the time and I felt like my entire body ached. That happens when you get heavier, for sure. After hearing Wendy Bell talk about Dr. Dubiak every day, I finally made an appointment. After 2 months, I hit my goal of losing 25 pounds. That's huge. I have tons of energy, no body aches. Thank you, Dr. Dubiak, and your awesome team for turning my health around. It's just one of so many stories that I love hearing. Love. I'm amazed by the guys that I just did a video with 2 weeks ago. 2 men who together had lost 100 pounds in 5 weeks. What? Are you kidding me?
For the people on the app saying it's not working, you've got this issue, I'm watching it right now. So the best thing I can do is say, go clear your cache. Force
Is that what it's called? Is it a cache or is it a cache?
Cash.
Is it I don't know. I was asking. I
If you
don't
want to be French, you
Whatever.
okay.
know.
Just saying it's not working.
How do you clear the cache? What do you have to do?
Well, depending on what type of browser you have, it's just basically going into your browser history, and then it'll give you an option to clear.
Browser history. Okay. So go into your history, and it's probably a drop-down menu, and it's something that you can click on, and you clear it, and then you're kind of back on ground zero.
Because this is just annoying.
I don't know these things either, you guys. I get you. Are we still top 30 in the App Store globally?
Yep, absolutely.
You guys, that is so huge. And we're very close to hitting a major goal in our merch sales. So if there's something that you've seen, I'm going to wear the new shirt tomorrow, I think, regardless of my waffle shirt.
I don't have anything to wear.
Well, he doesn't like you as much as Jason likes me. But if there's something that you would like to get, whether it's one of our beautifully embroidered hats, or it's the sweatshirts, it's the beer mugs, which are fantastic. They're not mugs, glasses. I use mine every single day, which means I drink a beer every single day. So.
All right, here we
All right, so stick with me on the IV analogy as I talk about just this choking of logic. I envy people who have good relationships with people whose politics don't align with their own. As a common sense conservative, I'm no radical. I don't care about the social issues. I believe you love who you love, and you should be given the same privileges and rights as everyone else. I don't care what you look like. I have great empathy for people who are transgendered, who feel legitimately like they live in a body that is not the one that they should. However, I don't believe that we, the people, that the lives of the many should be turned upside down to acquiesce the needs of the few. And I believe that we've become a nation of victims. I'm much more into victory than victimhood. And yet this is where we are. We've coddled this small, sniveling group of crybabies who are loudmouths. And that's not everybody in those buckets. But there are loudmouth crybabies out there who demand that everything we do is wrong. It is racist. It's transphobic. It's homophobic. It's misogynistic. I never even heard that word before. How preposterous. But the way this is spread is through the ivy of the media. If you don't have a complicit media constantly pushing every single day, a very specific storyline, you don't have the malleability of the masses. What is it about an individual that makes them fall hook, line, and sinker for what again and again and again we have illustrated is garbage? Garbage. What does it take to awaken these individuals? And what is it about a liberal who can't sit down and have a conversation with me without going bananas? We don't have to agree. You are more than welcome to have your opinion. I hope you do. My mission in life is not to bring you over to the dark side. But we do have to coexist. And we are not coexisting. That ivy has spread its way into every rational yard, if you will, and is choking everything that was once beautiful. I was interested in this article put out on the 27th. So let's see, the 30th is today. What, Monday? By the New York Times. 5 times as many children with COVID-19 in New York City hospitalized over the past 3 weeks. Now, that headline is concerning. That flies in the face of what we know about COVID, what we know from the CDC's own facts and data, which we are told to believe, that an infinitesimal number of children have succumbed to COVID. And those who have are not healthy, active 11-year-olds. They are kids who are sick. That is a fact. So when you see the New York Times quoting the health commissioner in New York State and telling us that there's a serious problem, folks. Can you see the snowball that happens after this? If nobody digs into the reality of the story and reads below the headline, if nobody checks the veracity of the data, if nobody questions or takes out their freaking garden shears and dares to snip back the ivy as it encroaches on their common sense, you never get the real story. And what is the real story, pray tell? It's nothing like the headline. Not only is it not 5 times as many children, the reason behind the lie is far darker, far more insidious. And I'm going to tell you what it is next on the Wendy Bell radio program. Don't go anywhere. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here in the land before time, it is definitely fireplace weather. And at the end of winter, when we start to thaw out and the sun comes back out and warms us up again, you're going to look at your fireplace, you're going to look at your chimney, and you're going to say, I got to clean this bad boy. It's been a while. And I want you to jot down a phone number and put somewhere on a sticky note on your calendar the name Piccadilly Chimney. If you live in southwestern Pennsylvania, specifically Allegheny, Beaver, and Washington counties, I want you to jot down this number, 412-221-0196. Piccadilly Chimney Sweep started 35 years ago by two brothers. Decided not to go to college, instead dig into something that they thought was necessary to create a business with high quality, certified professional chimney sweeps that do a great job, are wonderful to work with, and do the job at an affordable price. What more could you possibly ask for? They'll clean your chimney, inspect it. They'll do everything to your fireplace, repoint it if need be, get up on the roof. These guys are pros. PiccadillyChimney.com. And yes, they are fully insured.
The book I am reading is the real Anthony Fauci.
This is from Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Not the senator, but Robert Kennedy.
Guys, if the app is choppy or anything like that, we're getting, again, 20 downloads a minute.
Are we?
The app, yeah. So that's another reason if anybody's having any technical difficulties.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
If possible, if you're going to share the app, if you could do that when we're not live, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a great point. If you guys can help us out, if you want to share us, and we're so about you sharing us, thank you. If you wouldn't mind waiting until the commercial breaks, that would be huge. Because remember, we are a live radio show. And so we do take these breaks twice an hour or twice a half hour. So just wait.
Hey, Tina Z63 says we're #1 on Twitch.
Wow. How
I
many?
just put us there.
Huh?
I just put us there because of the individuals who didn't know to clear their browser cache
Nice.
or cache, however you want to say
I
it.
don't know. I mean, let's sort of like de Blasio.
But it's incredible that we can see that, the fact that this is our second day doing this on Twitch, and then boom.
What's the number? Was it Tina who said that?
Tina Z63.
Tina Z. Hook us up. Tell me how many are.
I can tell you that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
I see 814 right now.
852.
852.
Let's go.
And then on our stream, we are at 1598. That's on our server because people are on both right now.
Okay.
We all know that this is the time of year when people don't listen.
In
Uh,
961
why-
on Wimkin.
Which is
In 961 on Wimkin, I'm sorry.
Wow.
No,
So we're already at over 3,000 then.
yeah. This is why we're testing this week.
We're at like 3,600.
3,600. You guys, I was driving in today and I was listening to
Walk to work.
Patriot Radio, and it's Breitbart's Alex Marlowe, and everybody. It's interesting. Everybody is just kind of phoning it in this week, and I think and there's I get it. I get it. That's fine for everybody else, but what we wanted to do was be here every single day to make this switch and to see what was going to happen and to work out the kinks. And by the way, thank you for being so accommodating. Thank you for your inquiries, for your feedback. We believe that this is a shared thing. In fact, Brock or Jason, you got a message yesterday from somebody who wanted you to do something so that they could continue to chat after the show is over, because you guys have found a community of people who feel the way you do. And if you live in a blue environment like I do, how nice to find like-minded people. So Jason was telling me that we leave the chat up until about 10 o'clock at night. So you can still communicate with one another well after the show is over, if you so choose. It might not be sexy, but you can still do it. I mean, there's not pictures of me everywhere.
I'm going to toy around with, because I already built in the fact people can have profiles on the app. It doesn't transfer to chat just because, again, trolls might come in there and do something.
They put
outrageous.
dirty pictures.
Yes, so we don't want to have that come over to the chat. But I could probably build an internal messenger between people. take a little bit of time, but that would be kind of cool, and I think that would help.
Thank God there's you. Thank God there's Brock. I'm looking at Brock in mission control. He's got four monitors. He's got lights. He has headsets, five computers, monitoring all these various, I mean, literally. And I get to stand here and blab. And these guys make everything happen behind the scenes. So
Yeah, that's the new. Well, you will.
hats off to them.
I don't know. Just maybe. I don't. You asked me.
I am going to need to pull up a source. I really dig that I have the iPad here. Thank you for getting this stand for me.
You're welcome.
That is giant.
All right, be quiet.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. What has happened over the last 2 years, my friends, and one could probably argue well before that, probably with the election of Donald Trump, is that one of the greatest safeguards of our democracy, ostensibly the media, evaporated as a trustworthy source. Not only that, the watchdog nature of the media was gone. The results of that have been tragic. And the complete 180 swing to becoming propagandists instead of truth seekers has been deafening and disastrous to all of us. 5 times as many children with COVID-19 in New York City hospitalized over the past 3 weeks. New York Times dated December 27th, just a few days ago. Hospitalizations of young New York City children with COVID-19 symptoms, ages 5 to 11, have jumped nearly 5-fold over the past 3 weeks. The state health commissioner reported Monday morning. And these sick youngsters have not received the vaccine previously. At first blush, with that as your New York Times headline and the first paragraph, what does that tell you? Holy crap, I've got to get my kid vaccinated. And that's the point. Oh my goodness, kids are getting sick out there. This Omicron variant, even though we've heard it's kind of like the common cold, really mild, something is going on with children. I'm now going to panic because I prefer to live in fear as the IV chokes through my common sensibility to sniff out the BS. Dr. Mary Bassett, the article continues, told reporters at Governor Kathy Hochul's briefing in Albany that the city saw 109 COVID-related hospital admissions for young children between December 19th and 23rd. That's up from 22 such admissions reported between December 5th and the 11th. Nothing sells a newspaper, nothing sells clicks more than a flashy headline that has to do with percentages and fear. 5 times as many. Now, 5 times as many if it was one last week, one child, up to 5 children is still accurate, but it is purposefully deceptive. And that is what this argument in this paper is all about. The 109 pediatric hospitalizations in New York City accounts for 59% of the 184 such admissions made at hospitals in the state. Not only are kids getting sick because of COVID, they represent more than half of all of the COVID admissions in the state. This is serious, or so you're told. The dramatic spike in children winding up being hospitalized with COVID-19 symptoms coincides with the Omicron-fueled spike in COVID-19 infections across the board in the northeastern United States. Bassett said all of the hospitalized children in New York City had one thing in common. What's that one thing? You guessed it, none of them had been vaccinated. This is disgraceful, ladies and gentlemen. Each ensuing paragraph is that ivy creeping closer towards your flowers. In fact, both Bassett and Hochul, whatever the hell her name is, I don't care, she's a hack, pointed out that vaccination rates among young children remain far too low. Really? Really? Is that the governor's stance? They just want you to get that jab in the arms, folks. Since the federal government authorized COVID-19 vaccines for children ages 5 to 11 back in early November, just 27% of New York's youngsters in the age group had received at least the first dose. Only 27%. It's the parents' fault. Their kids are in the hospital. If only you would listen to us. Quote, we're releasing this data because we want pediatricians to be alert to making diagnoses of COVID-19 in children, Bassett said. This is the #1 health expert in the state of New York saying this. We want pediatricians to be on high alert. Many people continue to think children don't become infected with COVID. This is not true. Lady, nobody says children can't be infected with COVID. But if you were actually being honest, you would say children do remarkably well with COVID. They have a 99.9995% chance of survival. I think they're more likely to be struck by lightning than they are to die from COVID. While schools in New York are on holiday recess, Hochul said the break offers parents of unvaccinated children the ideal opportunity to get them protected against COVID-19 before classes resume in the new year. And there you go. 5 times more kids. Oh my heavens. None of them was vaccinated. But you have this opportunity now, parents. Don't let your child be next. Get them that shot. Bah, bah, bah. Do, 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 do. This just in. What? The New York Times this morning issued a massive correction after the liberal newspaper severely misreported the number of COVID hospitalizations among children in the United States. Well, not only are the 5 times as many children going to the hospital with COVID, not only is that number farcical, and we'll get into that, the New York Times has been lying for some time. The newspaper severely misreported the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations among children in the United States by more than 800,000. Is that like an extra 5 zeros? 800,000, ladies and gentlemen. A report headlined "A New Vaccine Strategy for Children, Just One Dose for Now" by science and health reporter Apurva Mandavilli, which we've talked about, was peppered with errors before major changes were made to the story. Well, this is intriguing because Brock has found this sound. And this would be the aforementioned Dr. Mary Bassett. The same Dr. Mary Bassett who appeared next to New York's governor on Monday, sounding the alarm about all these kids going into the hospital. Go ahead and play that sound, Brock, so everybody knows where we're coming from.
The numbers that we gave on pediatric admissions weren't intended to make it seem that children were having an epidemic of infection. These were small numbers that we reported in our health alert. That was based on 50 hospitalizations, and I've now given you some larger numbers, but they're still small numbers. It really is to motivate pediatricians and families to seek the protection of vaccination.
Wait, The number one health expert in New York State is saying, what? Well, it's not really that. It's not really 5 times as many children being hospitalized with COVID-19. It's just that we're testing all of them. And so kids who got into car accidents and kids who got injured in their home and kids who fell off their bicycles who ended up in the emergency room, we tested for COVID and their tests came back positive. But they're not there because of COVID. They're there for other reasons. Well, where's that retraction? Furthermore, and by the way, the admission, sheepishly, well, we really just wanted pediatricians to, keep pushing the vaccine because it's all about the vaccine. That's really what we were doing. Let's hear that again. Again, this is Dr. Mary Bassett, the chief health guru, the health commissioner of New York State. It's very interesting.
The numbers that we gave on pediatric admissions weren't intended to make it seem that children were having having an epidemic of infection. These were small numbers that we reported in our health alert. That was based on 50 hospitalizations, and I've now given you some larger numbers, but they're still small numbers. It really is to motivate pediatricians and families to seek the protection of vaccination.
Of vaccination among children who have a 99.9995% chance of surviving because of their own beautiful, perfect little bodies. Where's the follow-up question of Dr. Bassett? See, if I were a member of the media, I'd be like, ooh, I have a question for you. So has there been a single child in New York State, not even the city? Let's just branch out. We'll go satellite. Okay, we'll get a bigger view. Has there been a single child who's been admitted to a single hospital in the state because of, and only because of, COVID-19? What do you want to bet the answer is a resounding no? The thing that is so vile about a newspaper that I'm sure at one point did have some semblance of credibility. The problem with them sharing these scary headlines is that nowhere in the article does it tell you the context. Fear is all they can sell. And people buy it. The only solution is that you get your child vaccinated. That's not the solution. And again, and I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into how this isn't the only time that the New York Times has been caught. How about on August 30th? Do you guys remember the story about the Mississippi poison control being overwhelmed with people overdosing on horse dewormer, ivermectin? That was a story concocted by and spread by the New York Times. A story that it took an actual journalist from a competing newspaper to blow the lid on for the New York Times more than a week later to come clean on and say, yeah, that's not really what happened. This is the one that's also going to get you so angry. Is there anything they tell you that's correct? What if they told you that's true? Any of them. Whom do you believe? Obviously just me, because you're smart. The Simkovich Concussion Institute, I was not pointing at you, Brock. The Simkovich Concussion Institute invites you to pick up the phone and call and make an appointment for a no-cost evaluation. If you or someone in your family, somebody you know, has been suffering the effects of a brain injury, a concussion, whether it's 5 years old or just 5 weeks old. Dr. Charles Simkovich and what he does that is revolutionary and non-surgical can help you. And he does it with his hands. This guy's been working for decades on this treatment. And most of his patients who come see him get relief in less than a week. Not only can you get your symptoms of a brain injury or concussion to go away, Dr. Simkovich can help your brain heal. Is there more you could possibly ask for than just being normal again? SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. Make your appointment today. It's worth it. So ivermectin, horse dewormer. Oh my goodness, everybody's taking it. The media rolled with that for weeks. Trump was excoriated for it. And it was all bogus. I'll walk you through it next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Hi, this is Kelly Morgan, owner.
This may come out wrong, but it's a little disturbing from where I'm sitting. I turn here, I see Wendy Bell. I turn here, I see Wendy Bell. I turn here, I see Wendy Bell. I look up, I see Wendy Bell.
Aren't you lucky?
That's
I mean,
A lot of Wendy Bell
it's like,
for one individual.
think of it as a panorama, right?
That's a lot of Wendy Bell for one person.
Well, I'm not the one who said you needed 7,000 different devices. Just saying.
If I didn't have all these 7,000 devices, we couldn't do what we're doing.
We're up to 2,200 on Twitch.
What?
Yeah, because I embedded it as a backup.
So we're going to have a meeting tomorrow.
Over beers.
Yes. And we will discuss said things.
I should not have had that cup of coffee.
Why?
You know, when you get the jitters, I've got the jitters.
No, I still see Jen Psaki too.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
I ought to torture you all and put her in the background.
I didn't know where to find the podcast.
This is. You can't make it up. You cannot.
Yes, you can. You're doing it.
I don't get it. I really don't get how you have a conscience and say that you're doing something that's not completely evil. What the bejabbers?
What the bejabbers?
That's clean.
What are we going with now?
I don't know. I'm going to take us through this half hour, through the bottom of this, and then
Okay.
we'll move along.
When you jump back into things,
I beg your pardon.
I need to know.
Well, I gave you some heads up.
Sure. As of, I'm going to say this again. Play it again. What?
Sorry.
What? I mean,
Sometimes I just want to make sure you're paying attention. So I think it's worth reviewing that on August 30th, the New York Times had to retract a story that claimed a flood of calls to a Mississippi poison control center, or to the poison control facilities in the state, were related to ivermectin consumption. 70% Well, it was interesting because, oops, turns out only 2% of those calls had anything to do with ivermectin. 70%, 2%, 72. 800,000 children. Oops, not 800,000 children. The only reason the New York Times retracted the story and then said they misstated the number. No, you overdid it. You exaggerated it on purpose. You have no journalistic integrity anymore. Nobody's paying attention to you. You're not relevant. The only way for you to stay afloat is for people to click onto your headlines. And how do they click? With sordid, exaggerated, sexy headlines that create panic and fear. Is that disgraceful or what? The New York Times, or rather the NBC News, picked up this story about kids being hospitalized in droves. A 5-fold uptick in New York City? What? Well, oops. How about this? A guy who's actually quoted on NBC News, who happens to be the vaccine expert at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, one Dr. Paul Offit, was on NBC News as they ran with the New York Times headline without doing their own due diligence and finding out it was total BS IV. Dr. Offit said, well, actually, the hospital has seen a lot of kids test positive for COVID without necessarily showing symptoms or getting sick. We test anybody who's admitted to the hospital for whatever reason to see whether or not they have COVID, and we're definitely seeing an increase in cases. However, we're not really seeing an increase in children who are hospitalized for COVID or in the intensive care unit because of COVID. Well, let's not let that get in the way of a clickable headline. That's disgraceful. It's purposeful. And it's every dang day. And the people out there on the left, primarily, consume this. These are the people who are triple vaxxed and are petrified of anybody who walks by them who's not wearing a mask. These are the people I see in the woods, walking my dog, wearing gloves and masks by themselves. And it's only perpetuated by the visual theatrics of a president in woeful and undeniable mental decline, walking his own dog on a beach wearing a mask. Really? Really? How do you reconcile this? How do you trim back the ivy of BS when the media are giving it Miracle-Gro? They're sprinkling on fertilizer. They're shining lights on it so it grows faster. Deadheading the pieces that aren't growing fast enough so they can infiltrate reality quicker. Where's the person who raises their hand and says, at what point are you going to start doing your job again? I wonder if maybe that's why CNN lost another 38% of their viewers in 2021. Do you think? Can we connect the dots? Does anybody see the landscape that I see? But now, in the hot seat, coming up next, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who does exactly what the New York Times just did. She's going to admit to you, it's been a lot of BS, been a lot of ivy. The sound that'll tick you off, coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know what? People want to be helpful. They really do. They want to be helpful. And I'm grateful for ideas and such. Like the one fellow who reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I think you too, Jason, and he was telling me that even with all the sound panels behind me, that it was muffled and the quality was terrible because I move around. And I was like, my man, it's a radio show.
Right.
Where the crispness of the audio for the radio stations is the number one priority. And you're just watching on a phone us record what's going on. It's not plugged into a soundboard. But he was really eager to help out. Like, let me give you some pointers. And I'm like, boy, I appreciate that, but you don't understand what's going on.
There's not many things that haven't been discussed on how to do things with people
But we love you guys.
smarter than me
Aye.
when it comes to sound and how to set it up to have sound.
What are we looking like on Twitch? I think it's funny.
24 something, and then we're up over 5,000 on everything.
What?
Yeah.
You guys rock.
We only care about the tone.
I know. Share. Because, as you well know,
Oh God.
I'm fabulous.
By the way, if you want to share while you're in the app, the top 3 buttons in the top right corner, the little 3 dots, you can
Of the
share
app.
there, you can rate there, you can do pretty much anything you want there.
I was also, and I want to thank you guys for this. I was reading, and I think I've read all of the app ratings when people hop on and give their synopsis of what they believe about us in the show. Aside from a troll here or there, your comments are so dear and so thoughtful and thought-provoking. And they're from all over the country. I sat in my car waiting for Ryan to get a coffee from Dunkin' Donuts yesterday, and I'm scrolling through and I'm like, wow, they like us, Brock. They really like us.
They like me.
Duh. I'm still shiny.
I'm going to be honest. For 4BZ13, how do you share on Twitch? I don't know.
It's not our
We'd
platform,
rather
but
I'm not going to lie. We'd rather you be on our app.
for sure.
I don't think you need to share us on Twitch because the next podcast that's anywhere near us is 600 viewers and we're at 2,500. So we're number 1 by far. 4 times as
I
popular.
appreciate the wanting to share it.
You can share our app right in the app, guys. It's fantastic.
Yeah. If you can help us by downloading the app if you're on Twitch.
Wendy's been hanging around Brock too long. Wow.
If
I don't
you
even know how to take that.
if you can't, why am I looking like him? Are my eyes turning blue?
Let me see that.
I had blue contact lenses once. They were awful. You can't try to be something you're not. Right?
Girl.
Right.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, perfect.
I think it is. Perfect. Look at that.
Oh, you know what? I appreciate that Jen is
You're much
representing the show.
What's that?
That Jen Pasake is representing the show. I think.
Yes.
Put her back here.
Let's see.
Oh, I'm gonna try at least.
That's beautiful.
Don't cover my bat.
Well, there's pretty much okay. Here we go.
Pull the hat down a little bit. Come on, Jason.
We're into 9:30 now, because you know how I.
Can you see it?
Yeah, Jen Psaki is wearing the FU46 hat.
She's a giver.
With her watch placement, that's going to bother Wendy the
I
whole show.
just said
Yes, it is.
it really bothers. Who puts
Leave it there.
Yeah, it's.
So show meeting tomorrow after the show.
Show meeting. Okay. Is this going on at Mike's?
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to try to get Robert F. Kennedy on the show. He's difficult because he has a throat thing. I know
Right.
he has a difficult time with his voice. I've never dived into why that is, what kind of condition he
I
has.
don't either. I don't know, but
Um,
it's not really radio friendly.
well, I'd have to talk to him on the phone and hear what I thought.
I think he's fabulous. I think he is fabulous.
He's fabulous. Fair enough. I think
I think I might go purchase the book today.
so. He said it was he had a team of 20 people,
Really?
20, and they've worked for a year.
Do you want to read the Russia on the Radio book? I'm done with it.
Sure. You know what I want to do, and I need to make this one of my resolutions. I need to sit down and just enjoy a book for an hour a day without looking around at what I need to clean up or what I need to cook. I just need to. No, not good at that.
Dixie Chick 215 got the app, but watch on Twitch can read messages that way. On the app, we have our own chat.
We want you on the app. We want you on the app. I think the reason why we want you on the app so much is so we can have a centralized place where the message can get out and not all these ancillary avenues. And we're grateful for the ancillary avenues considering YouTube has completely shut down Brock, Jason, and me.
I'm being held back again because of my association with Wendy Bell Radio.
The funny thing is, and it's not that funny, but it is funny, is Brock was shut down before he even shared a video. so that is definitely
Guilt by association. I got you
I've been
fired.
turned down plenty of times before. This is nothing new.
I get you fired, and now you're blocked from
Right.
YouTube.
I've been fired, blocked
Sorry.
by people,
Next, you need to have your basement flooded too.
friends, gone.
Whatever. Then they're not good friends, and they can suck it.
If you're looking for us on Wimpkin, guys, please make sure you know it's only on the web version.
Only on web, not on the app.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Mm-mm.
She doesn't read what I write either.
Duh.
Okay, here we go. Wow.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the Buried Plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Busy hour 2 now, locked and loaded and ready to go here on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Appreciate all of you who have been downloading and sharing the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. Love you guys. Top 30 in the App Store and climbing. We are like that ivy. We're going to creep across America before they know it. We're going to take over the world. Sorry, it was kind of creepy. So I've been paying close attention to what is going on with Rochelle Walensky and the CDC. And I just think that when this actually blows over and enough people with common sense overtake those who haven't been tending to their own individual garden, I think that there will be a reflection and an absolute destruction of many people's quote unquote legacies. I think Joe Biden ultimately will be completely exposed for everything nefarious that he and his family have done. I think his son will be held accountable. I think their Ponzi scheme of garbage will blow up and he will go down as the most disgraced, not just president, but political figure in American history. I do. I think it's going to take time, but I think it's going to happen. I think when all of this is said and done, Anthony Fauci and his 40 years of feeding money, your money, to China, and the connection between him and all these other actors, Ralph Barrick from UNC Chapel Hill, the head of Eco Health Alliance, Peter Daszak. I think Bill Gates I think Bill Gates will be a harder one to reveal because of his purposeful hundreds of millions of annual dollars granted to news organizations, to schools, to quote unquote nonprofits. I think he might be a harder nut to crack, but I do believe it's going to happen. I think the destruction of the CDC, though, is something that is truly palpable. And it came out in full force just this week. As I've said to you in the past, ladies and gentlemen, not only were you made for this moment, as you feel as though you're just not only a spectator of just chaos, you are suffering at the hands of corruption. You were made for this. We were made for this, and we are witnessing history. We are part of a chapter of United States history, much like World War II. Different circumstances, certainly. But the wars of our past are those indelible placeholders of American history. This is going to be a big one. CDC director drops a bombshell calling COVID testing protocol into question. So I want to review to you before we even get into Rochelle Walensky's sound. I want to let you know, as a synopsis, within the past 48 hours, Joe Biden has admitted that the virus can't be stopped. Admitted that everything he ran on, his presidential platform, is absolutely farcical and unattainable. That has happened. CNN has admitted that masks are absolutely useless. Their medical expert, Dr. Leanna Wen, saying they're nothing more than theater. That happened. And now the CDC has admitted that the PCR tests, the tests that you and I have been forced to get just to live our lives, are a fraud. We have 3 audio sound bites of Rochelle Walensky. This first one about the antigen tests, you know, those things that you need to take and your kids need to pass in order to stay in school. Here's bombshell number 1.
Dr. Walensky, good morning. It's always good to have you. I want to start with that concerning announcement from the FDA that those rapid antigen tests may not be as sensitive at detecting the Omicron variant. The Biden administration is about to send out 500 million of these tests. Can they still be trusted?
Good morning, Whit. Thanks for having me. Yes, absolutely. So we do know that the most sensitive test that you can do is a PCR test. So if you have symptoms and you have a negative antigen test, then we do ask you to go and get a PCR to make sure that those symptoms are not attributable to COVID. But those antigen tests still work quite well, and they work well, especially in places that we're using like in higher education, in tests to stay in schools where we're doing several tests, one every other day, every third day, and that's really when they work well as well. So we still are encouraging their use. They may not work as well as they had for the Delta variant.
If there was ever a poster child soundbite for verbal spaghetti, that was it. Well, we know the antigen tests aren't really all that trustworthy, which is why when you get a positive one, we encourage you to follow it up with a PCR test. But the antigen test, which allegedly Joe Biden has ordered the production and distribution of 500 million of, yeah, they're still safe in the school environment. We'll still use those. Well, I don't know about you guys. If you're diagnosed with cancer and you're going to get chemotherapy that's going to ravage you, do you want to know if it's got a pretty good chance of working, or if it's sort of like, well, you know, it works for some people, but you know, let's just give it a whirl. That's not acceptable. But she goes on. But wait a minute. If antigens, well, they're not that trustworthy. You know, the ones that you've been gouged at CVS for to the tune of $25 that are now like crack on the on the black market. You can't find them. That have caused backups because people are either scared to death or they're forced to have a negative test to come back to the United States from a trip abroad or just to go to freaking school. Right? So the antigen tests don't work, but now wait a minute. The PCR tests, that's got to be the gold standard, right? Let's hear what she has to say about that.
With all of that science together, we moved forward with isolation recommendations of 5 days of isolation followed by 5 days in a mask. Now, the question of why we didn't include a test there is simply because we know that PCRs can stay positive for up to 12 weeks. So we would have people in isolation for a very long time if we were relying on PCRs.
Okay, so she starts talking about the science, which is your first big tip-off that she's full of it. Well, the science is showing us, lady, your science sucks. Your science hasn't proven a daggone thing. What have you guys done other than make people afraid and confused? So we've shortened the term of the isolation because we know the PCR tests, which are supposed to be much better than the antigen tests, which we know don't really work all that well. Well, we know that the results there can say positive for 12 weeks. So you can get a positive PCR test 3 months after you had COVID. Where's the follow-up? Where's the follow-up question? From the freaking clone trooper media hack who's like, oh, we really appreciate your time today, doctor. I know this is a very busy time for you. So you're trying to lie to the world and manipulate everybody into getting shots. But did you guys, 12 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, nothing works. The only thing that works is getting COVID, getting through COVID, and moving on with your life. Number 3, this is the one. This is the one. If you ever thought there was anything even remotely scientific about what these idiots have been doing, well, I'm sorry. This is probably going to burst your bubble. Cut number 3.
So from what you're saying, it sounds like this decision had just as much to do with business as it did with the science.
Well, so it really had a lot to do with what we thought people would be able to tolerate. We have seen relatively low rates of isolation for all of this pandemic. Some science has demonstrated less than a third of people are isolating when they need to. And so we really want to make sure that we had guidance in this moment where we were going to have a lot of disease that could be adhered to, that people were willing to adhere to, and that spoke specifically to when people were maximally infectious. So it really spoke to both behaviors as well as what people were able to do.
Well,
Brock, I'm going to play that again after the break, just FYI. So wait, let me get this straight. Peppered in there with words like science and research and safety. We did what we thought people would be willing to tolerate. How does science factor into that? This just in, it doesn't. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say to that. It is so deeply offensive to me. How many Americans lost their businesses because of that? Well, we wanted to see what people would be willing to tolerate. What are we, freaking guinea pigs? Is this just one giant experiment of human behavior? How far can we push people before they lose their minds? And is this the breaking point? Because I gotta tell you, Palm Sunday last year, I already had. How dare they? And how dare anybody out there, ever believe what these people say again. It's over. Thank goodness Tom Yakupin can help me save some money and make some money. I love my sponsors because they bring me back down to reality. If you have a bank CD that is about to renew at abysmally low interest rates, my friend Tom Yakupin at West Penn Life and Health says, wait, stop, don't do that yet. Give him a call and ask him about the Safe Money Annuity. And you're wondering, well, what's this? It sounds kind of gimmicky. Well, it's actually not even close to being a gimmick. This is what it does. You take at least $5,000 and you put it aside. You're not going to see it for 5 years, but what's going to happen is your money is going to grow safely and securely and guaranteed. This is a great way to grow your nest egg. And in the first year alone, it's 3.5%. This is perfect for an IRA or a rollover of some nature, an IRA or a 401k rollover. All right. This is the guy you need to call. Tom Yakupin, West Penn Life and Health, 724-228-7187. Go to westpennlife.com and he will hook you up with all the information you need to find out if this is right for you. All right, when we come back, I want to hear that soundbite again because I want to underscore what's really been going on. Let's go back down memory lane and let's rehash what you've sacrificed and what's happened to you in your life at the hands of these experts. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. That infuriates me. You and I both found it at the same time because you were sending it to me and I was sending it to you and we were both like, what? I love getting a phone call in the midst of that. My iPad goes, ring, and I'm like, son of a mother.
You can find all the archive shows on the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. Someone was asking.
Ooh, very nice.
It takes a little time. It's not an instantaneous update because I have to go back and edit it for it to be updated. Take it out of one system, put it into another. But give me till like 3 p.m. every day and it'll be up there. So if you want to download the app, it's really easy to find archive shows. Amber, yesterday's show is there, and I only know because
it took you a long time yesterday because you and Jason wanted to go on early to ensure that we had other contingencies in the event that we were attacked again. So you had to go in, edit it, and then upload it, and the process is sluggish. You know,
I can't archive shows on Twitch.
Nope. That's why we direct you to that app, and we appreciate you paying attention to that, getting it, sharing it. And being a part of it.
There, the resources there. We're going to try to start a weekly newsletter of everything we talk about.
What you missed or what we think is the most important stuff of the week.
Top 5 sound bites of the week. Some of the stories we find.
Brock is probably going to help. And that's going to be all three of us like this working in concert. So obviously we'll need Jason to help us format it or whatever. And then you're going to help me with the sound part of it. And then I'll do the writing. And you'll get a little bit of all of us.
I think we want a weekly thing, just a week wrap up, and then have like a monthly newsletter, which is where
what's going on, what's coming up, what we hope to do.
New stations, and it's
and plus in the next week we're going to have a pretty significant announcement to make, which is going to be fun, which I'm looking forward to.
Do I know about it?
I sure hope so. And
yes, I do.
And no, I'm not pregnant. Brock is. Wow.
Well, it's not healthy.
Smokes.
I'm worrying about your health.
Are you now? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine?
Don't you have enough kids already?
I would have had more. Hey, man. That's best. So to review, I think this final soundbite from Walensky, this is the head of the CDC. This is the woman who uses bogus research, studies that have been debunked, whose holes have been blown through the weak tea science that she's using to keep masks on our children in school. I want you just to consider that for a moment. We're grown-ups. I can navigate a lot of hardship. I can manage, but stay away from my sons. Stay away from your children. This woman, who's purported to be following the science, admits, well, it was really all about how much people could tolerate. And it looks like they can't tolerate being in quarantine for 10 days. I was. My husband was. My sons were. My freaking son at the university, or at Clemson University in South Carolina, was literally in his dorm room, monitored on an app, locked out of school buildings if he dared escape solitary confinement during his COVID. But now we realize that the test of COVID could actually be detecting COVID from 3 months ago. Well, she says, you know what? I think we were just seeing how far we could go. Let's listen.
So from what you're saying, it sounds like this decision had just as much to do with business as it did with the science.
Well, so it really had a lot to do with what we thought people would be able to tolerate. We have seen relatively low rates of isolation for all of this pandemic. Some science has demonstrated less than a third of people are isolating when they need to. And so we really want to make sure that we had guidance in this moment where we were going to have a lot of disease that could be adhered to, that people were willing to adhere to, and that spoke specifically to when people were maximally infectious. So it really spoke to both behaviors as well as what people were able to do.
Well,
And then Fauci, just to seal the deal of the BS-ery. Let's listen to him. He's going to tell you isolation's bad. Oh, really? Good.
The purpose of it is that given the wave, the extraordinary, unprecedented wave of infections that we are experiencing now and will certainly experience more of in the next few weeks, that there is the danger that there will be so many people who are being isolated, who are asymptomatic for the full 10 days, that you could have a major negative impact on our ability to keep society running. So the decision was made, although it's not completely risk-free, of saying, let's get that cut in half so that we could have 50%, namely half of the 10 days, and 50% of that time, people can actually be out with a mask in society.
Really? Too much damage. Did it do damage to the more than, million of people out there who lost their businesses? Really? Is this all about NFL? Is this all about football? Is it all about sports and betting and gambling and revenue and airlines? It's not about you. It's not about your health. Interesting, I just saw on the stream somebody said too much COVID talk. Know what? No, this is what needs to be talked about. Wake up. Wake up. Get your garden shears out. It's not just about trimming it back. It's about uprooting this. Excising the cancer and burning it. Enough is enough. Aaron Rodgers, still, is he the only one who gets it? We'll talk about that coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
to lose weight the way you hope?
Are you making a phone call? Woman. Yes. We will be putting all the affiliates up on the app to let you guys know where you can find us. There's just a lot that goes into it. We want to make sure they're okay with it. We want, because there's maybe some things, maybe we can put links to the affiliates up. So if you want to go check out, if you're listening in Altoona and you didn't know we were on WRTA, that you can go check it out. And maybe you just want to listen to the stream and not watch, but if we can put up a link that maybe someone has a link to the show, their station while our show's on, but there will be a list up. And
that was the California station calling.
Was it? Saying hallway?
Saying no, saying that there's that and potential in other states. So,
I don't like to be in the dark.
there was a voicemail.
Oh.
It's not like I'm withholding information. Please. I think it's great, and I think what's interesting about what we're trying to accomplish here, this is not an ego-based movement.
I had you muted because I thought you were on the phone.
This isn't what we're trying to accomplish here. Isn't ego based. It's not like I want to be a superstar and I should be everywhere. It's we believe in what we're fighting for, and we believe that we have this tremendous opportunity in this country now, particularly in the midst of this debacle called COVID, such political corruption and such an absolute lunacy among really intelligent people, to step into a space and to say, you know what are we doing? And can we right the sinking ship? And obviously, as a female talk show host, there aren't that many of us out there. And I've specifically gone a certain path. And up till now, thanks to you, it's worked. So you guys are part of something that we believe is grassroots, but is meaningful. And I'm grateful. Thank you.
And for the person, I didn't hear what you just said. It said too much COVID talk. We had this conversation in the morning, and saying,
this is not what I want to be talking about.
And what did I say? I'm like, what part of COVID hasn't infiltrated every part of your life? If you want to go watch a movie, are they open? Is it, if you want to watch a football game, or you want to watch a baseball game, or God forbid, you want to go to a baseball game in Pittsburgh where they have been social distancing since 2015 at their stadium, and you have to eat one piece of popcorn at a time so you don't have to put a mask on. So
how about people like meeting their barber in the alley like an 11th hour drug deal?
Yeah.
I just need to trim. We had to bring Joe's barber to the house to give all the boys freaking haircuts.
And I know, and you didn't tell me, and I didn't get my hair cut, and then you're like, did you break up with your barber?
You have a Flowbee. You can do it yourself.
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about the workarounds. How many people walked around without getting their hair colored? Yeah, mine wasn't that bad. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
I didn't get mine colored. Look, I'm starting to get a lot of gray. I've noticed in the last couple of years, the increase has it went from like this. Sleeping to just like your basement flooded.
Jason, he's saying that I've given him his gray hair.
Jason has no.
That's called fake news.
That is not fake news.
Sure, it's not age. I mean,
well, there's some comments.
That is not fake news.
It's generally age. Just saying.
You know,
I have a
here jockeying for employee of the
I
month.
have the bumper crop right here, and then the ones at the crown of my head. I look forward to having all gray hair when I'm older. I look forward to absolutely everything just being gray, because it's going to be fabulous. Gray ringlets.
do
Come
need
on, you know that's hot.
I need to go back and get it. Go back to
Get it pink.
yeah.
You want your pink mohawk back?
I like the haircut.
I can bring a, set of clippers tomorrow. We can do it on the air.
No, we can't. We did that once already. Catch up.
We raised money for illiterates or for literacy to fight illiteracy.
We raised a lot of money.
Yeah, we did. By ourselves, no thanks to the place we worked.
No. Although they tried to jump on at the end.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Mm.
All right, here we go.
It's always fun to see you guys phoning in when we don't have the phone number put up on the stream. But I think in the next half hour, to the caller who's trying desperately to get through, we are going to open up the phones in the next segment. On Thursdays, we like to do something where we give a half hour of the show to you to talk about what you want. And as Brock and I were discussing one of the mornings this week, before the show, I said, you know what, I don't want this to be what I talk about every day. And yet every single day, it is what we must talk about. I mean, I want to go back. Let's see, hold on. I just quickly put away something that I wanted to just bring up something that I hadn't really drilled down on. So I told you about the New York Times having to retract its reporting that 70% of the poison center calls in Mississippi were from people who were taking horse dewormer, ivermectin. How many times did you hear somebody in the media or somebody in government on the left talk about these boobs taking horse dewormer? Joe Rogan, the podcaster, vilified for it. Aaron Rodgers dragged through the mud because he used it. And when it actually came out, and it was the Mississippi Department of Health coming out and saying, well, wait a minute, New York Times, that's actually not true. It wasn't 70% of the calls were about ivermectin overdoses or improper uses. It's not at all true. It was 2%. 2% versus 70% is a pretty big freaking difference. I want to underscore the depth of the depravity of these people. If I owned the New York Times and I had any semblance of respect or credibility or character or morality or honesty, I'd be like, you know what? Who got that wrong? Pack your bags. You're not worthy of being here under the banner of the great New York Times, which it is no longer. And then I would have come out and said, we made a major mistake here. Well, after the Mississippi Department of Health came out and refuted the New York Times' own story, it took 5 days for the New York Times to come clean with a very quiet, very tepid, flaccid retraction. And it wasn't even a retraction. It was a oopsies, we misspoke. It wasn't 70%, it was 2%. Meanwhile, all across America, every hack on TV, every lackey on talk radio who wanted to push the narrative that these crazy right-wing wackos are taking horse dewormer ran with the story. It's the ultimate wrap-up smear, using the New York Times to put out a false headline that was garbage from the beginning, let everybody else pick it up, run with it, create this narrative, yes? It's disgusting. This is America today. I find it fascinating that there are so few orators of common sense, so few people who speak up and say, this is preposterous. One of them is the Packers quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. As you well know, he infuriated people by coming out and talking about his not being vaccinated. And they said he lied. He deceived his teammates. He deceived his coaches. He deceived the National Football League because he said he was vaccinated. He said, I never said I was vaccinated. I said I was protected. He actually dug into the ingredients of mRNA. He actually took the step of enlisting a team of homeopathic doctors, natural medicine folks, and MDs to figure out what would be the appropriate measures he could take because he had an allergic reaction, would have an allergic reaction to one of the ingredients in the jab. And so he went through and spent a bunch of money, went through all these hoops, and was literally demonized on his team. Forced to test every day at 5 a.m, sit in his car, wait for the test, had to go in and go back out, had to wear a wristband delineating him as a dirty, non-compliant player. Meanwhile, fast forward 2 months after he got it anyway, and more than 500 players in December have already had COVID or currently do. And yet Aaron Rodgers is the problem. So he was back on the Pat McAfee show, as he is every week. And again, can you imagine if your CDC, FDA, NIH, NIAID, your administration spoke with the clarity and the common sense of one singular man who one would lump into just stupid jock category, who is anything but. Not only is he lucid, he is educated, he's informed, and he's reasonable. What a refreshing change. So in this first cut, he brings up a very interesting conundrum. Why are we not treating people? Why is there only one option, and it's this stupid vaccine? Listen to what he says.
I mean, I've gotten accused of spreading misinformation when I talk about my the treatment plan that I used to get better. That's been used by a number of people and doctors. If you watched Dr. McCullough on Rogan, he's a cardiologist, epidemiologist, he goes at length to talk about, and he's double vaxxed. He talks about the treatment plans that he used with people. I think one of my issues, and I've brought this up many times, is one, they don't talk about the fact that guys are getting better using this. People are getting better using these things. That's fine. You don't want to talk about that. But how come in a league where we're seeing 51 guys on the list yesterday,
100,
there's still zero conversation, at least publicly, around treatment options for people that test positive? I do know behind the scenes, this is 100% true. There are many teams who are using or recommending a lot of the same treatments that I got for their players. So
Dr. Joe Rogan?
There's treatments being talked about behind closed doors, but publicly I don't understand why we can't talk about treatments. And
why can't we talk about treatments? Why aren't there ever any alternatives? Why is there no discussion? Why did 200 members of Congress allegedly get treated with the very ivermectin that the New York Times lied about and the rest of the media ran with? Horse dewormer, you foolish boobs. But he continues. Second clip. This is pivotal.
Because I think it needs to be not just talked about with the NFL players, but with the rest of the country, that there are ways of, whether it's Delta or Omicron, it seems like there's not a lot of major symptoms. But if you have Delta like I did, there's treatment options that actually help. And if you don't agree with the ones I use, well, let's come up with some other ones. Instead of like sticking a person, putting 10 days in an isolation, and not able to see anybody and zero treatment options. To me, that's just, if science can't be questioned, it's not science anymore, it's propaganda.
If science can't be questioned anymore, it's not science, it's propaganda. Bingo. I've been bringing up my son Chris and his failed science experiment for a reason. Because there is something trusted called the scientific process. Anyone who's taken remedial biology, anyone who's even made it through middle school, understands the scientific process. That there has to be a set of controls, that the variable that you're testing has to be consistent, yes? That you just can't willy-nilly in the middle of it, inject new things into the experiment, or everything that you're doing is wrong. And this is exactly what a quarterback in the NFL is the only one saying. Go.
I mean, when somebody comes out with a scientific study, right? What do they always say? They say it's a peer-reviewed, right? What does that mean? It means that people in the same field have gone through it and questioned the hypothesis and questioned the research and looked it up to see, does this research stand up? That's what science is all about. It's about forming hypotheses, questioning those, testing those, and then releasing the results. When did science become this blind agreement with, and then not having any debate over what can actually heal people and work for people? That makes no sense.
The refusal to have a conversation. You don't want to have a conversation when all you're focused on is one path. This is why the New York Times lied. This is why the health commissioner in New York State lied. All we want to do is we want to get people to get vaccinated. Why? Because it's working so much? Because nobody's getting hurt? Because nobody's dying? Really? And finally, and I think this is the bing, 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 this one where Aaron Rodgers manages to, in a synopsis, bring this disaster full circle.
For your body. What I don't understand is vaccinated people blaming non-vaccinated people because the vaccine that they took to avoid getting the virus didn't stop them from getting the virus. I'm sharing my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I get it. That's what people hammer me most about. But I consulted with a number of doctors, MDs, naturopaths, homeopathic doctors, and figured out what worked best for me. Okay? I'm not some uneducated person who's throwing stuff out there. You want to rip on me because I took horse dewormer and whatever else you want to talk about, that's fine. But I also got better in 48 hours. And I had symptoms.
But I also got better in 48 hours. The tip-off for me, it wasn't even a tip-off. I think the final nail for me in this proverbial coffin of just greed and evil was when we found out that the government, the FBI and the US and the United States Postal Service were working in concert to intercept, if you will, mail order ivermectin shipments to people desperate to try them. Your government shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be so desperate for something that you've been told by people who are trustworthy people, who don't have any skin in the game of the vaccine. You shouldn't have to be on the brink of death, like that woman from Virginia, to be given a chance at life. The Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, in fact, I had an interesting conversation last night with Dr. Rafferty, Dr. Richard Rafferty, who runs the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. My son's been having some problems with his back. And I asked Doc Rafferty, I said, I don't think this is a slipped, herniated, or bulging disc, which is his specialty. But I think Michael needs to see somebody. Who do you recommend? And it was so nice to have somebody who could say, you know what, this is the guy I would send him to. Now, I'm glad Michael doesn't have any of those aforementioned problems with his discs. But if you do, and you've been told that spinal surgery or a lifetime of epidurals, which after having 5 kids, I don't want those, right? If that's where you've been told that's your path, try the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. Sit down with Dr. Rafferty. Have him go over your films with you. See if you are a candidate for the non-surgical but 98% successful intra-disc neutrosis. Not only do your symptoms go away, not only do you get your life back, not only can you live pain-free again, your body can heal, and it can heal naturally. 412-906-9600. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Check him out. Make your appointment today. It's so frustrating to hear all of this. But it's always very interesting when the left gets called out for what it's actually doing. Rachel Maddow on the hot seat. What? Asked to apologize for something outrageous? What could it be? I'll tell you next on the Wendy Bell radio program. I was driving yesterday with my son, Ryan. He was actually driving me because he's got to get his requisite 65 hours of training in before he gets his driver's license. And we were driving down the street and we were stopped at a red light, and he looked over at a house and he said, man, a lot of the houses here are really falling apart. And he said to me, he says, they need Ireland contracting. And I was like, wow, my 16-year-old gets it. And it's absolutely right. If you think about the exterior of your house and how things start to kind of crumble all at once, and you're like, I don't even have a clue where I can go. Who is good at this? Who's like a home renovation exterior expert? Well, it's Ireland Contracting. You could need something significant like a new roof. Or maybe it's time for you to finally get some energy efficient, wonderful windows. Maybe the siding on your house is old and faded or falling apart. They do that too, in addition to skylights, in addition to the soffit and fascia that ties the look of your house together. Ireland Contracting is an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Dealer, which means they are the top 1% of Owens Corning. Owens Corning? Yes, Owens Corning roofers. They're outstanding. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Angie's List Guild Quality, and of course, we here at the Wendy Bell Radio program. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Yes, sir. Too many me? Now what do you think about me? I should send you pictures of me. Brock and I had a total blast with my husband, Joe, and our 5 sons at the Battlegrounds last weekend. In fact, if you go to the battlegroundspa.com, you can see the photographic evidence of it. Coolest place to have a party, to run around, to have a corporate outing, or just have a blast with your family, your friends. Oh, my goodness. A safe place to shoot people. Airsoft, Nerf gun, you name it, they do it. And it is outstanding. You've never seen a place like this. And they've just added this new section, remote control vehicles in this whole area where they can crawl up on this awesome terrain. Blow your mind. It is called the Battlegrounds here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Book your reservation now, 412-530-2192, thebattlegroundspa.com. You will love it. Don't just play the game. Be the game at the Battlegrounds. So there's a lot of sound, there are a lot of comments, a lot of statements that have not aged well in the dumpster fire 2021, okay? So we're taking kind of a retrospective as we're ready to turn the calendar on another year. And we're gonna go back to, I think if I'm not mistaken, this was March. This was March of this year. And it's a comment that certainly has not done very much for Rachel Maddow from MSNBC. Now, to her credit, she is loved by the libs who watch MSNBC. And she does very well with her program. I don't care for her, and I don't think her politics are anything that is reasonable for this country. But I want you to, what are you saying in there? I see your facial expressions. No? Yeah, then knock it off, Brock. Listen to what she had to say, then see why so many people are saying, what? Go.
It means that instead of the vaccine being able, instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person to person, spreading and spreading, sickening some of them, but not all of them. And the ones that it doesn't sicken don't know they have it. And then they give it to even more people because they didn't recognize they were, right? Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person, potentially mutating and becoming more virulent and drug resistant along the way, now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus. The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this if we just go fast enough.
At what point was any of that correct? Honest to goodness. That so certain comment, it stops in a vaccinated individual. You know, my son Jack is going back to college in California in a couple weeks. He's got the first 2 weeks of the semester online. Fully vaccinated, California, fully vaccinated college. He has to go today to get his booster. My son is an adult. He makes his decisions. It is a hard pill to swallow, tough pill to swallow as a parent. But he has to choose what's right for him. What about a fourth shot? What about a fifth? When does it end? And I'm always intrigued when people say that so-and-so needs to apologize. You need to apologize. Well, what the heck does that have to do with anything? What does that do? Enough with this, take your eye off the ball and be consumed by the smoke screen. What does that do to hold the people who've known from the very beginning? And I believe they've known. Fauci, I believe he's known from the very beginning. Walensky, I don't know if she's just malleable, corrupt. I doubt she's stupid. She's highly educated. But what kind of moral depravity has to operate there where you believe that profit is more important than the physical wherewithal and well-being of other human beings? So now people on the right, oh, she needs to apologize. Rachel Maddow. What's that going to do? Well, what's that going to do? And like that's ever going to happen. Nothing to see here. We're just going to move along. Don't pay attention. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? What are you thinking? How do you feel today? We're about to turn the page on 2022. Starting a new year. Is it going to be any better? Or are they going to try to drag us through this garbage yet again? And what is your final straw? The conversation is yours for the next half hour, and I invite you to pick up the phone. I will relinquish control of the microphone to you. 833 WBR show. You're in the driver's seat. Give us a call next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Somebody already wants to talk. We have a lib of the week extra credit for you guys. Jason is super excited. I think you're going to like it. I love the lines are hot. I do enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. We don't do it a lot.
Do we have like a show record in terms of people watching the streaming?
What do you mean?
Like a
Where I see it? No.
Okay, so we tapped over 5,800 collectively. So I asked Brock, and he was like, he thinks it's 56. So not bad, you know. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I just didn't know if we had a number.
I have not. So when I look, you can see what I see.
Yeah.
And it's just really the show.
You can actually.
I don't. Is there a way to fix that?
If you touch here, it will show you how
Oh,
many.
you moron! I'm such
2484 right now on that. That's that's on our app. So
That's outstanding.
thank you. It's not bad.
You're a stud.
Oh my.
You created this.
They're not watching me.
Well, I mean, you created it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you guys get a busy signal, and you will, because the
Don't
lines
leave
are
a
hot
message.
right now. We only have 3 lines. Don't leave a message. Just call back. We'll clear them through as fast as possible. But I enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. Do you want to give me a teaser beezer on what anybody wants to talk about?
No. Well, I'd like to get an unadulterated,
Wow.
naked look at your response. Like, because then it's
Honey, he's growing up.
what?
I don't know what you couldn't hear.
What?
Nothing. No, good.
No, I want that.
Authenticity?
Yeah, yes. It's a you know, sometimes if you type up here, this is what they want to talk to. A host can dictate the conversation.
Yeah, I don't.
Just by seeing a sentence saying, "Oh, I know, blah 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 blah. What do you think?"
Right.
And
Well, we've never done that.
no, we haven't. But hosts will do. If there are hosts out there that want to know exactly what the person is saying, it's because they don't want to be taken off guard. Well, you know what? You can't have an answer for everything right on the top of your.
I agree. True. I'm super excited because when I go home today, I'm going to start taking down my Christmas decorations. Getting things back to normal for me is really.
Wait, Jason invited you for beer after work, and you told me you couldn't.
I said tomorrow. And he didn't, by the way. You tried to make it sound like I was invited, and then I said no. You're a manipulative jerk.
Wow.
Not you, Jason.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding.
All right. So seriously, if you like Brock's shirt or Jen Psaki's hat, we have a goal we're trying to hit in our merchandising. And you guys have been amazing, and Jason has been amazing in getting all this stuff made,
Amazing, but me.
and printed and done and shipped. And you'll be amazing when you can get a full 8 hours of sleep, or maybe just 6 constant. That'll be amazing, won't it?
I'll take it.
That'll be fabulous.
I would take it.
I know.
I'd take a good, solid, hard 3 to 4 right now. Just give me that refreshing.
Now, see, are you the kind of sleeper? And you and I, because of our schedules, are up early on the weekend, but we also have animals
Yes.
who are used to our schedules. But if I sleep in,
I feel horrible.
I feel horrible. What is that? I'm foggy. I'm just kind of like in a stupor.
I feel like I've missed something.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't get up if the sun is up.
Well,
Like I have to be up before the sun rises.
I was thrown off the one day I slept through my
Till
alarm.
4:30.
But
I know. I just wanted to hold it against you, which is why I
I
didn't.
felt like I felt like I was against the wall the whole day. Like I felt like
That was the beginning of Jason winning EOTM.
Jesus.
You know, if it's important to you, you'll wake up.
Something called sleep in. I don't know what that is.
I think we're all on the same boat.
Whoa.
He slept 38 hours the other day. Isn't that what he said?
Who here? Let's take a collective.
You need to get COVID, then you'll zonk.
The three of us?
Yeah.
Who here has slept past 6:30 in the last 3 weeks?
If you're
I'm not looking at Wendy.
If you're saying that I did that, I was already up at 3 and laid back down at like 5. So
do you people see what
It is a competition.
That's a nap. That's a nap. That's what is known as a nap.
Wait a second. How do you sleep 36 hours and not sleep past 6 a.m.?
I didn't sleep 36 hours.
Just
straight.
saying.
I said I slept 36 hours in a weekend when I was sick. Thank you very much.
So is that Friday, Saturday? I was going to say, is that
48 hours in a weekend?
Mind you.
No, you could tap into half of Friday.
Mind you, Christmas was one of the days.
Ah.
I did sleep until 1:30
You know what?
that day.
You can have employee of the week. I want when I get it, I want to know I earned it.
Can I have employee of the rest of the year? That's all I want. Thank you.
You've already made 2 mistakes today.
Who's counting?
After you said I'll make no more mistakes.
P.S. Quickly, I told Jason that we have a lib of the week extra credit today.
I'm very happy with this.
It's big.
I already told him.
Oh, fudgesicles. I'm not going to tell you stuff anymore because you ruin it.
Maybe I don't believe what Brock tells me anymore.
Yeah.
Well, send your well wishes.
Makeup time.
Oh, don't forget Bad Joke Friday tomorrow. wbrbrock@gmail.com.
Triggered leftists and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the Brit Plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your source of common sense conservatism, the Wendy Bell radio program. We do it a half hour a week. We welcome your phone calls. It is all about you. It's almost always on Thursday, and now is that time. Hello and welcome, Greg from Pennsylvania. Welcome back. Hello, sir. Ah, thank you.
The whole voting system needs to be redone. But I think we need to have a revolution. And I don't understand where the last straw is going to be, because the Ivy has destroyed everything. And imagine, what Joe has done in 1 year to the country. It just goes on for another 3 years.
I agree. And I am so glad, Greg, that you caught the analogy of the Ivy, because that's what I'm talking about. Not voting, not being part of what's coming is not the answer. In fact, it's quite opposite that, because we need to be out in droves, my man, droves. And what you said about it creeping down the beams and into the bay, 100% correct. And the revolution is on. It's not going to be a battle in terms of physical battle, but it will will be a battle because it's forcing people on the right to wake up and get involved, for God's sake. Get involved. You have a great phone call, Greg, and I love hearing from you. Thank you so much. Heather's calling from Renfrew. Hello, welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Hey, Wendy, I'm so glad I got through. I'm so nervous. I don't even know what to say.
Oh, please.
I know. It's crazy, but hey. One, I just want to thank you guys, you, Brock, and Jason. I want to wish you guys a Happy New Year.
Oh, you too.
And I just want to say, I pray for this country every day. I pray that the truth comes out. I pray for all the healing, and I just pray that going into the next year, this new year, that everything turns around. It's scary.
I can't agree with you more. I think 100% we're on the same page with that. And I don't know how you feel, but I kind of fluctuate between despair and great hope. And I think I need to walk closer to the hope and be there more regularly because it's tough. You feel like you're in oatmeal.
I commend you every day when I listen to your show, and I'm like, oh, like it's just you get so angry, and I hear your passion because I get the same thing. Like when I used to work in holistic dog and cat food industry, and I would talk to people about, their dog's diets, and, they're coming back saying their dog has cancer. What should I do? And I would talk to them about, feeding better foods and stuff like that. And as I would talk, my passion would come out, and I totally understand, where you're coming from. Your passion comes out. It sounds like you're so mad and angry, but really it's just passion about what you're talking about.
It's love of America.
And I completely, agree with everything that you say.
I appreciate you, Heather, and we'll have another beer at Mike's here soon because I know exactly who
I can't wait.
are.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I have my Wendy Bell Radio shirt. I have my shirt on that I got for Christmas.
I love you. You're the sweetest. We'll catch up soon. Heather, thanks so much for the call. Tony in Delaware. Hello, Tony. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing, Wendy?
I'm good. Go ahead, sir.
I'm just, as a parent, as you said, like you respect your son's choice. He's old enough to make his own decision. But like I have two young children. One's in elementary school, one's in high school, and I give them the information, a lot of the information that you put out there, and I back them if they decide they want to get it, but I have an issue as a parent where these school systems are overstepping and trying to impact home. You know what I mean? To where I feel as though they're going to try and enforce this on kids, because I think when they go back to come back from the holiday break and everything, you're going to see an increase of, positive tests and everything like that. It's during the cold season of our area.
Sure.
And I just think they're going to end up messing these kids up to where they shut everything down. I just get so nervous as a parent because you want to have the answers. Your kids look at you for guidance.
But you have the answer.
And this is such an uncertain world at this time.
But you have the answer. Tony, you have the answer. What you're talking about, high school and younger, I would never let my kids at that age get this jab. That's my prerogative. It's my choice. And under my roof, I own them. They are mine. When you leave my house and you go to college, you've got to make your own decisions. But you already know what you have to do. It's not like you're impotent here. You're in control. You're in charge. And I want you to hang tight to the end of the program, Tony, because I'm going to read you a story that I believe is going to give you much hope and faith. And it's going to come from an unlikely source, Los Angeles, California. So hang tight with me on that. I share your perspective 100%. Let's get out to Tim in Altoona. Hi, Tim. Welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio program, sir.
Good morning, Wendy. I'm listening to the program, and just let me try to put things into perspective. If Anthony Fauci were your financial advisor, and he's flip-flopping around on where to invest your money and this and that, just changing his mind, of course, 180 degrees, do this, do that, you would have fired him a long time ago, wouldn't you?
Oh, my goodness. What a great analogy. 100%. Did you understand? I don't know if you caught the show the other day when I was doing an analogy between Fauci and Bernie Madoff, as they were both like the biggest swindlers and pathological liars of all time. You're absolutely right.
Yes, and many Americans would have done that. But now this isn't your money we're talking about. We're talking about your body. So go ahead. It's just your body. It's just your health. It's not your money. that you have to worry about. Now, from my perspective, as far as Mr. Anthony Fauci goes, it's time to put that elf on the shelf.
That could be the line. That could be the line of the year.
That
and
is
not just
outstanding, Tim. You are the employee of the month. I love you. Outstanding, Tim from Altoona, knocking it out of the park. Outstanding. Let's get out to Dave in New Jersey. Dave, welcome back. I believe you've called before, my dear.
Hey, Wendy, yes, I called last week, and I don't know how I'm going to follow this guy, but I'm going to give it a good shot. You're the GOAT. You are the GOAT. Listen, I called last week, and I mentioned the whole Trump thing and how he didn't back how he backed the vaccines, rather, and I was upset about it, and, I heard you afterwards, and, you said don't put all your eggs in one basket, and I never did. Just to defend myself, I never did. I just thought, him coming out and supporting it, but I have a whole other perspective on that right now. But, my whole point is, I'm getting mandated. I have to be vaccinated by Monday, right? They let us slide for this week. I told you last week, they were mandated. And, de Blasio put this, mandated by the 27th. And, my company let it go for this week. And so Monday, last night I went in, they told me basically if you're not vaccinated by, your first dose by Monday, you can't work anymore. And listen, I made a lot of bad decisions in my life. I dated a girl one time, and she told me, listen, she's like, you're a good guy, you got a good heart, but you make horrible decisions. And I agree with her 100%. I mean, I agree with her 100%. But not getting the vaccine is probably the best decision I ever made in my life, because I don't have to deal with all of this. I might lose my job, I might live in my car, you know what I mean? But, to me, it's way beyond that by now. This is just, something that I'm sticking by, and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. There's nothing positive about this, okay? Nothing. Everything is negative, okay? They're just pushing this, and nothing good is coming out of it. You know what I mean? So, I'm just sticking to it. I'm sticking to it, and, and that's basically it. And, hopefully this new mayor comes in and he realizes what's going on in New York City, and he sees what these cops are doing to these families that are in restaurants with their 5-year-olds not being vaccinated, and they're coming in there and terrifying these families. And, he's an ex-cop himself, and he comes in and says, listen, this has got to stop. If this guy has half a friggin' brain, he's going to come in and stop this, because it's madness.
I agree.
It's complete madness.
I want you to know that you hold a very special place in my life, in my heart. I want you to know that, Dave. I love when you call, because you very beautifully express, I think, what most of us are feeling. And you've got this, and you know it. And I'm happy for you. Happy New Year to you. All right, I'm going to take more calls coming up in just a minute. But first, if you're a business owner having some trouble finding an IT company that provides 24/7 care and that values you as a customer, I want you to know that the team at Sierra Experts, friends of mine, smart people, they pride themselves on delivering services in a practical way by continuously being there to support you. Their engineers are the best. They're experts in website design, digital marketing, custom software development, network monitoring, even backup disaster recovery. They understand what it takes to do all this stuff behind the scenes as you go out there and run your business and rock it. You need them on your side. I wouldn't talk about them if I didn't believe in them, if I didn't know them. Here's the number to call, and it doesn't matter what zip code you live in, they'll work with you. 412-722-0707, SierraExperts.com. More phone calls, my goodness, America. I love hearing from you. And more next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
So for future reference, we need to remember to put the phones on when my mic will sound different right now because I know a lot of people are going to be like, I can't hear him as good or as well. Fauci. Elf, put that back on the shelf.
Our callers are the best. The best. And I think that's why people wanted this chat beyond the parameters of the program. It's like this safe, smart, common sense place. I mean, I say common sense conservatism. You think that's sort of a throwaway line. It's not. It's like, look, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We just want to get back to the wheel, and that's not what we've been doing in this country. I love Dave. Oh my God, I love Dave. Oh my goodness. You guys rock. Love you passionately. You have no idea.
So I'm going to take the number down.
Yes, please. Isn't Dave awesome? Oh my God, I love him. I love him.
You love everyone.
I don't love everyone. I don't love you.
Wow. We need a hashtag fire Fauci.
Put that elf back on the shelf.
That's just too long for a shirt, but that.
Someone needs to put that elf back on the shelf. Did you see his pension that he's going to get?
Of course I did. I sent it to you.
Wow, way to blow it out of the water there. You're supposed to always make me look smart.
I know. That's why I didn't. Normally I do, but.
Jack off.
When you make it like, I found this.
It's creepy that Jen is peering over your right shoulder.
That's my girl.
Yeah. You got a way better girl than that one. I'll tell you that much.
We're doing heavy petting.
That's so creepy.
Good girl.
Sit.
Sit, Ubu, sit.
Arr!
Good dog.
Arr! Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call her. Ubu.
That's a great name. It's clean, but purposeful.
Right. It's sort of like Brandon.
Yeah. And Shazizzle.
Shazizzle.
Back to the phones. Tony in Pittsburgh, welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Hello and Happy New Year.
Same to you, Wendy. How was Christmas for you guys?
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. What's going on today?
Well, my Christmas was COVID-free and idiot-free.
Nice.
So,
bonus.
Yeah, that was the best thing about it. Well, expounding on what the previous caller said about Fauci, Elf is a good analogy for him, but I also think he looks like he could be like a pope. And there's actually like a meme where he's wearing a fan on his head, but it looks like a pope hat. It's absolutely hilarious. I'll have to share it with you sometime.
I love that.
But anyway, I've been saying for a long time, and we've been talking about this for years, going back like 2 stations with you and this newest venture, which I'm so happy for you guys and so happy to be part of it. But, I've been saying all along is that the house of cards is crumbling and it's almost in ashes now, So I just wonder how long these people are going to try to keep up this charade? Because it's
a great question.
It's blown wide open now.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I think, Tony, the CDC stuff today and yesterday, this week has been an absolute debacle for the administration. And for anyone out there who's trying to push stuff that is wholly unconstitutional and un-American. And I love that you've followed us, Tony, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you many more times in 2022. Thanks for the call. Hey, Gio. How are you, Gio, in Pittsburgh?
I'm doing awesome. Can you hear me okay?
You got you loud and clear, my friend.
Hey, Happy New Year to all of you folks there, and you guys are doing a bang-up job. I love it.
Thank you.
I just have a comment about Mr. Fauci. In Italian, faccialuta means dirty face, and it so resembles Dr. Fauci. And he gives Italians a really bad name, by the way. But I'm mainly calling in because there are remedies out there, as you showed earlier with the quarterback that was talking about. I've used them myself. They work much better than the pharmaceutical things, in my mind. I love the natural way of being. And for those out there that like going to the doctors for a hangnail and whatever, fine. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not anti-anything except for negative people. I'm anti-negative people.
Amen.
But other than that, I'm fine. I hope you guys had an awesome Christmas. And you know what? I think that Jason and Brock are keeping you on your toes there. Keep up the good work, guys. Have an awesome day. We'll talk with you later.
Thanks, Gio. Always love hearing you. And Lisa in Pennsylvania. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Great. Go ahead.
I want to wish you and Brock first a happy and safe New Year. My question is, since Biden came out with this statement that there is no federal program to stop the COVID, it is up to the states. My question is, what is Wolf going to be up to for our state?
It's a great question. He's been nowhere the last 2 years. I haven't seen much of him. Have you? Except when he's marching with Black Lives Matter, carrying or being close to signs that say Blue Lives Murder. I'm not really sure what Tom Wolf is up to as he slinks off into irrelevance. What do you think?
I believe he's going to push for a mandate. I mean, all these blue states, they're all doing it. They're all doing it, and the red states are not. So it's going to come down to where eventually maybe I may be unemployed. I work for Mack Trucks. Right now they're not pushing anything. They're waiting on the Supreme Court verdict, which that also is scary to me because of the way they're flip-flopping on issues.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said they're going to pay for testing or they're going to throw it on us, but I've asked the question, how long are they going to allow the testing until eventually they're going to say, you have to get the jab or you're unemployed?
Right. Well, here's what I would say. This is what I would say to you, Lisa, and I take some solace in this Omicron variant, if you will. And I started feeling this way when someone very close to me who's battling stage 4 cancer, who has been very careful, as you would imagine, around people and with COVID the last 2 years. When she said, I'm almost thinking I should just get this Omicron and be done with it and stop worrying. When you have someone who has every reason to be afraid, coming out and saying, I'm done with this. I don't want to live another year like this. I want the time that I have, and I hope it's long, to be free. I think this variant is going to cruise through us. As the results right now preliminarily show, we're managing it quite well. We keep track of our loved ones who are older, but I think they're going to do okay with it too. And then hopefully by mid-January, we can be realistic and say, not only has herd immunity been hit, we have smashed it, and we want America back, and we will have it back. As promised, I told Dave in New Jersey I had something for him, and it's a good story. It shows the power of one magnified, and I'll share it with you next. Plus, Lib of the Week extra credit coming up on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Hi, this is Kelly Morgan, owner of Morgane's Fitness, proud sponsor of Wendy.
Sorry about the phone calls, guys. The first phone call that you couldn't hear. Totally forgot how the board's set up.
So may I ask a favor of people?
Good.
Guys, this is Jason.
Talk louder.
Oh, I thought I didn't have to yell anymore.
You don't have to yell, but don't come in going, Jason.
Oh, okay. Guys, so tomorrow, right after the stream, if you wouldn't mind just jumping over to one little test page so we can just test our load balancers where it doesn't affect the actual stream. I'm going to put the link up a couple times tomorrow. We only need like 1 minute of your time afterwards. That would be very helpful. Because there's no other way for us to get thousands of people to test at one time. We don't want to run the test during the actual stream. So that would be very helpful.
And you have to do it tomorrow?
I realize what tomorrow is, but it's 1 minute.
Well, after the show, we're going to have a beer.
Yes. We could do it from Mike's. I could do a live stream from Mike's.
What are we talking about?
Do it from there.
We might have to do the live stream from Mike's.
Why?
Actually, that would be fun.
Because he has to test the load balancers.
I want to run a 2 or 3 minute test tomorrow after the show.
Okay.
It won't. Well, I guess we could run it on the app then if we're going to do it that way.
You know what I find very
Right after the show.
You know what I find very interesting about
Oh.
I don't know what you find interesting. That's why I'm waiting for you to tell me. I'll look at her.
We have 18 of those left. That's it.
Really? What did we start with when we were
50.
Remember, we said they were limited quantity.
we had 250 of these and we have
Oh,
I love this.
Yes.
but you can get them in red, blue.
They're just so nice to hold on to. I love this. I say it all the
I
time.
know. I find you caressing it quite often. So, I mean, people want to know what do you find interesting?
Hmm. After you apologize to me.
Oh, it just looks like we're all waiting. You know, there comes that time where you can't give in, right? You don't want to have to set a precedent.
It's not about who wins and who loses.
Oh, yes, it is.
I was going to say that I find it interesting that on Facebook our numbers fluctuated often and vastly. And here we see much more consistency, even through the end of the show. So it further underscores the garbage of big tech. And I find it reprehensible that anybody should feel as though they can control what you do or who's allowed to see what you do. Because we're not breaking any rules. We're just annoying their opinions because we don't share them. That's not a reason to censor somebody.
And we must be getting through. Jen's supporting us.
Uh-huh.
She's wearing a Wendy Bell radio cap. So must be saying something, right?
She's wearing.
Get the Brandon administration behind us.
She's wearing an FU-46.
Yeah, she's tired of her boss, just like everybody else.
Absolutely. Do you think she get free gasoline? I don't think so.
She's an idiot.
Yeah.
And that's not a nice thing to say, but, you know. So tomorrow, is that a company meeting or is it just a friend getting together?
That's code for my picking up the tab.
Oh, yeah, it's code for that. I thought it was abundantly clear what I was saying.
Guess who paid for the last one?
You did. Of course. I know, he's cheap.
Wow. Fake news. Fake news.
You decide. I'm hungry. Hurry boy is waiting there for you. Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. You know, I really wonder if Toto has any idea how much I love them. And it's just that one singular song. I sometimes play it alone in my car because I'm a loser. But it makes me happy, and by golly, you carve out the smiles where you can get them and however cheaply you can. You know, I was remiss in sharing this with you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tweak this. There we go. I was remiss in sharing this little nugget, again, from the CDC. As we were hearing from one of the callers, the last one, I believe, as he was saying, you know what? It's ashes. The house of cards not only has crumbled, it is on fire, it has burned, it is now a wasteland. Well, the CDC underscores that very sentiment, which was shrewdly delivered. I think this is very interesting. Despite sparking Despite sparking widespread concern across the world, it appears that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention overestimated the earlier spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 in the United States by more than, wait for it, this just in, 200%. Come on. What do you people do that's actually worth anything? How much money do we give the CDC? How many thousands of employees do they have? And what exactly is it that these people do? I don't see anything about disease control. I don't see anything about prevention. 200%. Yeah, we made a mistake. Really? On December 20th, the CDC reported that the vast majority, 73% of COVID-19 cases in the United States were Omicron cases, which was up by 0.7% compared to the previous 2 weeks. But the CDC has now walked back the number to 22.5%, not 73. Is that sort of like the difference between 70% calling into the Poison Control Center saying they overdosed on horse dewormer, or like 2%, which is actually the number? The rapidly spreading Omicron variant is now the dominant COVID strain in the U.S., representing 73% of sequenced cases, according to data published Monday by the CDC. That's what they reported on the 20th. Omicron has displaced the previous dominant Delta variant, blah, blah, blah. Delta made up 87% of the cases to Omicron's 12.6%. It's all garbage. It's all garbage. Garbage. this, I think, as I promised Dave in New Jersey. Dave was saying, you know what, as he phoned in, he's been a man known to make some poor decisions in his life. My man, I'm right there with you. It's part of being a human being. Ultimately, though, you get to a point in your life where the bad decisions are fewer and the good decisions outnumber them. You have obviously reached that point. Dave's back is against the wall. Monday is his deadline to get the jab or lose his job. Knowing that so many of you have received that as an edict is stunning. But there is hope. And you feel, and you should, and I get it, you're on your proverbial island. You have a family or not, whatever. You have bills, and I get it. Take solace in a very unlikely place, Los Angeles, California. 30,000 unvaccinated students throw Los Angeles District's mandate into limbo. 30,000. We're not on an island, ladies and gentlemen. This whole notion of common sense, and yes, I lump it together with conservatism because I believe we are the last vestiges of reality in a very unreal world. The nation's second largest school district was set to implement a COVID-19 vaccine mandate for students. But once school leaders realized they would have to send home thousands of students to learn online, it reversed course. What? Another theatrical, ill thought out, and even more poorly executed idea of sheer lunacy blows up in their face. Sounds very common. The Los Angeles Unified School District delayed its January 10th vaccine deadline to the fall of 2022. Brock, that's huge. Well, you've got some whimpering, sniveling leftists who are wearing masks. Have you guys seen any of the memes on social media with people wearing what looks like space helmets on airplanes? Literally, they're bubbles. It's like a fish tank. It's like Sandy on SpongeBob. That's who they are. It's crazy. The Los Angeles Unified School District delayed its January 10th vaccine deadline to the fall of 2022 once it realized that it would have to send home 30,000 students who faced the choice to either get vaccinated or switch to a, quote, online independent study program. Now, this is what is very interesting about the left. They believe that everybody around them feels exactly the way they do. This is what we think. This is what everybody thinks. There is no room for debate. Don't bother showing up at our school board meetings. You are not worthy, nor are you welcome. In fact, you are a menace, and the FBI should come and arrest you. This is the prevailing leftist thought process. I don't know if it's a disease. I don't know if it's a minor affliction, if it's more of a rash where you need to get a salve. But it's palpable. There is no room for dissent. This is why I say the clone troopers. Everybody walks in lockstep. And if you don't, well, if you don't, and you've got 29,999 other people with you, looks like you can do a lot. Los Angeles Unified School District said it decided to delay the vaccine requirement due to concerns about how to consolidate classes. My foot. reallocate teachers, and move 30,000 students to remote learning by the January deadline, Politico reported. What do you think their public school budget is? $3 billion? Who knows? I don't know. I'm pulling that out of my rump. But it's a hell of a lot of money. Are you telling me that before they mandated this, before they took their magic wand and they waved it and they said, aha, you must be vaccinated to come here, they didn't have a plan. They didn't even think anybody would push back. And 30,000 people did. Other districts in blue cities across the United States, such as Portland, New York, and Chicago, are also softening their plans to mandate vaccines as school leaders face pushback for student vaccine requirements before the Food and Drug Administration fully approves the vaccine for the age group. Wait a minute, is that the same Food and Drug Administration that went before a federal judge and asked for 75 years to release the data it has on the side effects of the Pfizer jab? Is it the same Food and Drug Administration? Well, no wonder parents are pushing back. I said this about Terry McAuliffe. I said this about Loudoun County and Fairfax County, Virginia. You can push a lot of people. You can push a lot of people a lot of ways. But you start dickering with their children, forget about it. Game over. I do believe that it is inherently our love for our kids, my love for yours, that is going to save what is going on in this country. I believe it is that love that is going to infiltrate these classrooms run by leftist lunatics. I believe it is our love of country and how I feel with the flag behind me every day that is going to save what a very sick, evil bunch of people have wanted to ruin and fundamentally change forever. So Dave in New Jersey, hang tight. I realize it's your job. It's important. But your life and your integrity and living according to your rules, your way, so that tomorrow when you wake up, you don't feel the regret that I believe millions of Americans have because they went along with what they were told. And every day a new headline comes out. Every day, a new study emerges that debunks everything that you've been told about this science. At the end of the day, just be you. They can never take that away from you. You know how it feels when you're down a few pounds, when your muscles feel strong, when your clothes fit that you haven't worn in forever. There's something euphoric about that. It's your confidence, just your whole overall zhuzh is so much better. And if it's been a while since you felt that way and you live anywhere near Somerset or Cambria counties in the land before time, I welcome you to check out Morgain's Fitness. Kelly and Dave Morgan, wonderful people, patriots, fitness enthusiasts themselves. You'll be envious of their bodies. They will get you in shape. They will get you on track. You will love their environment in their 4 gyms. They've got everything, group fitness classes down to the one-on-one personal trainers. They have childcare. They're open 24/7. Morgainsfitness.com, MORGAINZ, fitness.com. Tell them the Wendy Bell Radio Show sent you. They're awesome people. All right. I said to you, we have a little added bonus today. It is the Lib of the Week extra credit on a Thursday. What? This one's worth sticking around for. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
JD out, and Bad Joke Friday is till tomorrow. So please, I only have like 5 emails of bad jokes. So
Somebody already sent me one.
wbrbrock@gmail.com, wbrbrock@gmail.com. Did get Doc Rafferty's joke. I got your girlfriend's joke.
Did she send it to you?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Is it good? I didn't
read. I don't read them.
Right. That's why we botch them oftentimes.
Well, I botch them for different reasons, but I don't read them.
How long have we
Because
been on? How long have we been on the air? September 7th here.
Yeah.
I want you guys to see this.
that's-
man.
Oh my gosh, that's nothing.
That's the research so far.
That's what's just printed out.
Oh, I thought that was bad jokes.
Oh my God, no. No.
No, I want to play fair. Here's all the bad jokes and daily. No, that's not even all of them.
Those are blank papers.
Right? It's the illusion.
His check.
Jeez.
Wow.
This is getting harsh.
It is real fast. We're getting them all in before the end of the year.
Some jabs.
Joke Friday. I don't want to have to work for this. I already have to probably find good news.
I'll do that. No.
Here we go.
I love talking about my friend, attorney John D'Onofrio. He's an estate lawyer. It's a specialized niche. And it might not be the sexiest thing in the world, but whoa, is it important. Creating a roadmap, what happens to your estate, your wealth after you pass away? Who gets what? Where does it go? And how do you avoid more taxes? You've already been taxed on it. John D'Onofrio not only is the lawyer I trust, he's got 40 years of experience doing this. He gets it. He can totally work with you, and he's a gentleman. You're going to love him. I do, and for good reason. So if you haven't done this yet, your estate stuff, get in touch with him. 412-928-2068, attorney John D'Onofrio. Sometimes when Brock and I share with you the lib of the week videos, some of the stuff it's disturbing. I mean, we giggle because some of it is just so off the rails. You have to laugh. But we had one yesterday that was really disturbing to me. And it appeared to be a woman who was transitioning or is a transgender man. And she was discussing how she has a small child, and she was talking about transphobia with them as though this small child could understand. And I guess was talking about taking off her wig or doing something and the effect on the child. It was just, my heart aches for people. It really does. One of the more obnoxious ones we've had, though, was these 2 students at Arizona State University who went into what I guess is a multicultural room. Look, any university that believes it needs a space where people who aren't white or male can chill out, that university needs to have its butt kicked, because you're just playing into this garbage. You're adding the Miracle-Gro on the ivy. Not only are you providing it a ripe environment in which to be a victim, you're letting it grow and you're accelerating its growth. And shame on you. So the video was of these 2 girls confronting 2 white students. One had a laptop that was open. And on the laptop top of it, you know what I'm saying, it was a sticker that said Blue Lives Matter. And these girls went absolutely nutty. And they harassed them on camera, calling all these names, girls who don't even know who these guys are. And the gentleman finally got up and they left. Well, apparently, this school, Arizona State, has found some semblance of huevos. and have stepped forward in some sort of a punishment to the two girls for harassing the two young men. Let's hear how that punishment is going over with these two Libs of the Week extra credit.
ASU's investigation found us guilty of interfering with university activities. Dear white people, aka ASU, you openly discriminated against us on November 16th when you handed down your decision from your racially biased investigation. We are being persecuted for defending our multicultural center from racism and sexism. You gave us two punishments. The first one was a warning, and the second one was to write a 3-page paper on how next time when we talk with white people about race and society, we will be civil. This video is in fulfillment of our educational intervention. We're going to give ASU an educational intervention on why telling students of color at ASU to be more civil in the face of white supremacy and neo-Nazism on this campus is actually violent. ASU is a violent place.
Wow. How many things can they pull out of the hopper there, right? Out of the archives of victims, the archives of outrage. Here's my question. These young ladies are going to grow up and need a job. Who is going to want to employ them? Because they won't perform. They will only be victims. They will find a reason to be outraged. What boss wants that? Beyond that, whether they're gay or straight or not, who wants to be with that? Can you imagine dating that personality? How does that individual grow up? They grow up in a bubble of negative victimhood, and it's allowed by Arizona State University. This is the ivy I referenced at the beginning of the show. This is the insidious vine that intertwines itself in everything that's established in your garden. It infiltrates everything, permeates any cracks in your walls, tries to get in through the windows, and unless you're on top of it, will overtake your house before you know it. Racially biased, racism, sexism, neo-Nazism. How about you just grow up and act like a decent human being? Where's that? Beyond that, where are your parents? What do you think Thanksgiving dinner was like at their house? Look, this stuff has got to stop at home. And if it grows at home, if it's fertilized and seeded at home, and it infiltrates past the house, somebody's got to have the guts to shear it back. Enough. I don't know. I find that these things make me very sad, but I also believe with every one of these videos, this whole idea of outrage takes one step closer to the proverbial cliff, because it's not sustainable, because it's not American. And those young girls, they've got a wild life ahead of them, because it ain't reality. You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. So glad that you did. Until tomorrow, peace.